When a cafe sets the price of coffee at $2.50 per cup, the cafe sells 1,500 cups of coffee per week. With each 20-cent increase in the $2.50 price per cup, the store sells 50 cups less of coffee per week. Let N be the number of 20-cent increases in the price per cup of coffee. Which of the following expressions best represents the dollar amount of the cafe's weekly sales of coffee? We've got some options. Let's go. Now, I'll start by admitting that this is an intimidating looking problem, and to really figure this one out right from start to finish is pretty hard, no matter what level of math you're at. There's a lot to interpret here, and there's a lot to put together. I will walk you through that interpretation, but the first thing I want to point out to you is that if you use a little bit of critical thinking and common sense, and if you use some context clues, you can actually figure this out without doing a whole lot of complicated work, and that's really important because it can build your intuition in other problems that are really hard like this one if you just use a little common sense first. Here's what I mean. We've got some money, we're increasing the price of coffee, and we've got some numbers of cups where if I increase the price of coffee, I sell less coffee. It kind of makes sense, right? Because if the coffee's 20 bucks a cup, not that many people are going to buy it. Okay, but what we got to do here to really get a little intuition or a little common sense going is try to group all of the numbers that have similar units. Here's what I mean. We've got a $2.50 price per cup, right? And we're increasing by 20 cents. Now, those are both units of dollars or cents, if you want to think of it, but they're both in comparable units because they're both money. Okay, I'm going to highlight those in green. Green is money, right? What about the cups? Well, there's 1,500 cups per week. That's one of the numbers we're using. And then there's something about selling 50 cups less per week. So the 50 is a number of cups as well. Now, it would not make any sense to be combining numbers with different units. So for example, if I have 1,500 cups, I would not want to add or subtract 20 cents from that because like, what is 1,500 cups plus 20 cents? It's like a meaningless statement because the units don't match. I can't add them. Right? If I said I have 2 apples and $10, I don't have 12 apple dollars or something. There's no way to add them. They're not like units. So again, if I have like units, I can combine them. And if I don't have like units, I cannot combine them. So if I look at that, for example, I can get rid of option C because 1,500 was cups. The 20 cents, that was dollars. I can't add cups and dollars. It makes no sense. Okay, that lets me eliminate an answer that obviously makes no sense. But what about the rest of it? Let's look a little bit more deeply, and I want to highlight a couple things. I've got here that it sells less coffee when I'm going up in the price. So note here the language, 20-cent increase. The increase tells me that I'm adding the 20 cents to the $2.50. So look at the answers down below. If I've got the $2.50 and I add the 20 cents, I really like options D and E because they both capture that addition, right? When I have $2.50 and I add 20 cents some number of times, I get answers that look like D and E. And if I use that same kind of thinking, and I'll change colors once more just to highlight this in a different way, I'm selling 50 cups less coffee. So the less, that's the word that jumps out at me here, right? I've got 1,500 cups of coffee and I'm selling less coffee when I increase that price. So the less coffee indicates to me that I really like subtraction. And so if I'm looking at this from the standpoint of saying, I want to group all the units together that make sense, and I'm watching for keywords like increase or decrease or less or more, I can actually whittle this down to say, well, I don't understand where 275 was coming from. I could see where this addition is coming from that word increase up above. And I can see where the subtraction is coming from. That's from that word less up above. It's really looking an awful lot like E is my answer, even if I couldn't have set this up on my own, right? If I use the context clues, if I use common sense, I can figure this one out. Now, how do we really do it? I can think of the total money as being the price or the money per cup times the number of cups that we sell, right? That's the basic idea here. The price per cup times the number of cups, that'll give me the total revenue or the total money that this business is bringing in. Well, how do we get the money per cup? Well, they told me we start at $2.50, and then we're going to increase the price by 20 cents, so 0.20, some unknown number of times. So that's where that plus 0.20n comes in. That's my money per cup. It's $2.50, and I'm adding 20 cents some number of times. How about the numbers of cups that the number of cups that I'm selling? I've got 1,500 for the starting amount on that, and they told me every time I increase the price, I'm going to drop by 50 cups of coffee. So I'm going to subtract 50n, the n representing the number of price changes that we make. So see, that's the way you would really set this up, doing this from start to finish. And once again, you'll see that the answer is E. But once again, I want you to use your critical thinking and common sense whenever possible, because you can probably see for yourself that the answer is E, even if you couldn't have set this up on your own. And that in itself is a good thing. And if you got that answer, great thinking.